I'm going to get over to Eunice Yoon in Beijing with more on the fallout from the Hong Kong protests. I have about 1 million questions, Eunice, but I will leave it to you first. Eunice.
Thanks so much, Andrew. Well, businesses are under pressure to pick a side over Hong Kong. Here in the mainland, on social media, the Chinese have been calling for boycotts of brands which they believe don't appear to pay enough respect to China's sovereignty. So companies such as Coach, Givenchy, Versace are all being fiercely criticized for T-shirt designs which the Chinese eye appear to show Hong Kong as a separate country from China as opposed to a Chinese territory. So the hashtag Coach has been viewed over 1.3 billion times so far. Chinese celebrities and brand ambassadors have cut their ties with the fashion houses. All three labels have apologized fiercely in order to try to ease some of these concerns. But the authoritative People's Daily posted a warning directed at all multinational companies, which said, if you challenge the bottom line of Chinese sovereignty, how far do you think you can stay in China before your body becomes cold? Businesses in Hong Kong are also feeling squeezed. Airline Cathay Pacific, in particular, it received instructions from the Chinese aviation authorities that said that all of its staffers who are engaged in or who support the Hong Kong protests are barred from flying on mainland Chinese routes. So the IDs for all of the crews that come in here that are China bound have been submitted to the Beijing authorities. And also by next Thursday, the airline has to come up with a more detailed plan of exactly how it plans to comply with Beijing's demands even further. So the chairman of Cathay Pacific has said that he doesn't plan and that the company doesn't plan to dictate to their staffers how they should think. But one pilot has been suspended and other ground crew have been fired. And the airline said that overall it will comply with Chinese regulations. Guys?
Hey, Eunice, I think the big question, at least in the markets, is capital flight. Does the PLA show up? If they do, what does that mean? And I would even raise the question of where you think President Trump is in all of this and what he wants.
Well, right. So in terms of what's happening on the border, there have been a lot of reports about how PLA troops or Chinese troops have amassed on the border. Nothing has happened so far. And if we were to see them coming into Hong Kong for some kind of similar Tiananmen Square sort of incident, which is really the big concern among a lot of the Hong Kong activists, that would be the nuclear option when it comes to Beijing, because the authorities here are very aware of what kind of message that would send to the international community. It would there would be international condemnation. Also, very likely, Hong Kong would lose its special status in the U.S. Congress with the U.S. that allows it to be autonomous and to behave, to be treated differently from the rest of China when it comes to tariffs, for example. So the Chinese government knows that very well. And even though they've been saying not to mistake their restraint for weakness, the U.S. does have this as a leverage point. In terms of what President Trump thinks, as of right now, President Trump has said repeatedly that he believes that Hong Kong is a Chinese affair. And that has gone down very well over here for Beijing authorities, because they believe that Hong Kong is a Chinese affair. But what the concern has been among a lot of the Chinese officials and some of the people in the academic circles who I speak to who understand what's going on over there, there is a concern that Hong Kong is going to be used as leverage in the trade negotiations. It would just be another thing that would be added to the list. Of course, the trade talks don't look as though they're going very well, but that's one of the big fears of Beijing.